Hey everybody, I'm Savannah Tate Cuff, and today I'll be discussing the pros and cons of working from a live model versus using photography. Working from a live model is great because personally I find it more inspiring having a living, breathing person in front of me. There are a little bit of challenges around using a live model because there are pose shifts. At first, it's hard for a beginner draftsman to compensate for those pose shifts, but over time it actually becomes a positive and a fun thing to pick and choose from those pose shifts. So I'm going to put slightly more inspiring in the live model category. As for working from photography, it is less expensive. You don't have to deal with all of the model fees for X amount of hours that you would have when working from a live model. So I'm going to go with less expensive as a pro for photography. Photography also allows me to paint someone that wouldn't be able to sit for those amount of hours that I would need to work from a live model. So I'm going to put specific person as a pro for working from photography. And this is also particularly great for working artists who want to accept commissions, and maybe a kid, moves around a lot and you can't work from life when painting a kid. So photography would be a pro for that situation. Lastly, the flexibility of the pose. You can do a more challenging pose with photography. It's easier in general to take a photo of someone in a complex pose than paint it from a live model. But I am going to put this one in the center since it's possible to do a challenging pose with a live model. It just depends on the draftsman and the amount of hours that you'd need. So I'll do flexibility of pose in the center. When I'm working from photos, one con for me is that I tend to copy directly what I'm looking at, and typically I tend to add more detail. That could be a pro for someone who wants a lot of detail in their drawing or painting. I tend to like a slightly more impressionistic painting or drawing, and so that for me would be something that is more of a con for photography. Another thing to keep in mind is that a camera perceives light differently than the naked eye. So a camera will increase the exposure, the shadows will be a lot darker and the lights will be a lot lighter, and that's something to keep in mind when working from a photo versus working from a live model. Another thing is that I find it a little bit easier to take measurements from a live model than using photos, but that's also a personal thing. I would recommend taking your own photos if you are going to work from photography. That allows you to have the proper light setup, and it's good to also be in front of the model at some point to take notes on the various angles and positions of the model. From my personal experience, I like using both for different reasons. However you choose to work, the most important thing is to enjoy the process.